Hello, my name is Mr. Chef Jay, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the types of food thermometers that are found in the kitchen. Now let's start off and talk about what they're typically used for. So the main reason why we have a thermometer is so that we don't undercook our proteins and so we don't overcook our proteins. If we undercook our proteins, then it poses a threat for foodborne illnesses, and if we overcook our proteins, then they become dry and undesirable. So what that thermometer does is it takes out those common errors of undercooking and overcooking. So the most common thermometer most people have, most chefs in particular, this is an instant read probe thermometer. You can see here that the ambient temperature of the house is about 73 degrees. The way that this is used is that if we're temping something, we want to make sure that this portion of the probe is in the center of the thickest area of the roast, of the thigh bone of any poultry, and the roasts include prime rib, pork roasts, anything of whole muscle. These are super easy to use, super easy to clean. You can immerse them in water and sanitizer. They're very durable, and they're about $24 a piece. So these are the main go-to item that you should have in your kitchen. It reads super fast, so you don't have to sit there and have your oven open, losing all that valuable heat. The next one, now this is one that's old school, but most people out there have. And this is a bimetallic probe that also does the exact same thing as the instant read digital. The only thing is that this has a couple of curiosities. Let's put it like that. In order to use this, you have to have this in the same position inside the roast, but you also have to wait X amount of minutes for this to continue rising. So if I were to put my hand over it, you can see that it will slowly rise as the temperature increases, but it takes forever. So a lot of chefs did away with this. Also, there's an area that most chefs don't know about, that you have to calibrate these, and these must be calibrated as much as you use the product. So if you're temping several things a day, you want to make sure that you're temping or calibrating your thermometer several times a day. So on these, there's two different methods, and the best method, and the only one that we'll go over, is the ice method. So make sure that you have yourself a glass of ice water, and you want to put your thermometer inside the ice water. On this particular bimetallic thermometer, there's a little wrench that you'll put down through the shaft of the probe, and this can dial it down to exactly what it's supposed to be. So if we were to use this right now, we know that ice is at 32 degrees, and that's cold. And this is showing that the thermometer is still reading and getting close, but we want it to read exactly 32 degrees, which this one has already been calibrated. But just to show you, you would then put this on to the nut. There we go. Put this onto the nut while keeping the thermometer in the water, not touching any of the sides or the bottom, and you'd want to put it on to exactly 32 degrees. That would completely calibrate this bimetallic thermometer. There's also probe thermometers. Now these are one of my favorite ones because whenever you're doing lots of catering or weddings or any large events, you're typically cooking rib roasts and pork roasts and briskets, and these are great. So this one also shows the ambient temperature of the house being at 75 degrees. But one of the greatest things that I can do with this is I can place this probe in the thickest portion of whatever I'm cooking, and I can turn this on and it will set it for 135 degrees. So that makes it a perfect mid-rare. So the alarm would go off once it hits that internal temperature, and I'm able to pull it, and I know that I have a specific item at a specific temperature. These are really great and easy to use. So a long time ago, there were these bimetallic thermometers that you can't calibrate. I suggest that you get rid of these. We don't want to have an instance where we undercook something or overcook something, so these are basically just worthless. The next one is a candy thermometer, and these work great. These candy thermometers I also use for frying, for deep frying here at the house. I also use it to temp my fryers at work. But one of the best things about it is that you can set the item into the pot or pan or whatever you're using, the vessel that's holding the oil or candy, and you can watch the thermometer rise in temperature and get it to the appropriate temperatures, such as hard ball, soft crack, hard crack. I've made many a caramel with this, and it's flawless. And then the last thermometer is an infrared thermometer. And this is good for only a few things. So this is for you to test your equipment to make sure that it is running appropriately. So if you pull the trigger, it's going to read over my back shoulder. It shows 75 degrees, which we know is true. But whenever I point it at something, let's say this water, it is showing 39 degrees. So the surface of this water is 39 degrees. However, we already know that underneath that surface of the water, in with all the ice, it is 32 degrees because we already calibrated this bimetallic thermometer to that 32 degrees. These are great. So whenever I walk around and I'm testing my equipment, I do this at home or at work. I just randomly go and check my freezers to make sure that they're running on point, and I check my refrigerators to make sure they're running on point. Now these are expensive, but also these are just more of a thing that you would use for heavy industrial cooking, where these instant read thermometers, these probe thermometers, candy thermometers, and bimetallic thermometers you can get anywhere at your local grocery store, Walmart's, Target's, online on Amazon. But like I said before, really shoot for the quick read digital thermometer probe, because these are quick, easy to use, and they're easy to clean and sanitize. So please subscribe if you like it, and remember to thumbs up this video. Have a great day.